Hello and welcome to another unboxing video, and today we're doing the Allarus Custodians, the new elite choice for the Adeptus Custodes. Now these guys in the lore are put together to hunt enemy leaders. They deep strike onto the battlefield, kill an enemy general or captain or whoever's in charge, take out strategic points, and then spearhead the main assault or the mop-up of the remaining enemy forces that have obviously been tossed into disarray. Now with this box, as with all the new releases, you can build either a full troop choice, a full elite choice for these case. You can take 3 Allarus Custodians with a combination of spears or axes, depending on what you need and what you want to equip them with. They all come with a Allarus grenade launcher, which is awesome, as you'll probably see with the rules in here. Or you can also build a shield captain, which is the all-new HQ option, which clocks in at a good few points, but he gains an extra wound and attack and the ability to deep strike over your standard shield captain. And you can also build the Vexos Praetor, which is someone who carries a banner into battle, which is your elite choice. And these have 3 different banner choices or some relic choices. But without further ado, rather than me continuing to ramble on for a full few minutes like I did with the Captain General, we're going to go straight into the box. So I made a slight tactical incision before the video, so there's no huge tearing away. So we have the box to start with, same new style, the Adeptus Custodians, Allarus Custodians, and they're showing a Allarus Custode, a Shield Captain, and a Vexos Praetor. On the back, again, we've got the same thing. So we've got Shield Captain and what they have, Vexos Praetor and what they have, as well as some close-up details, and then a standard Allarus Custodian, but with a Castellan axe this time. They also show you how to paint the armours, the plumes, the blades, etc. So if we pop straight into this, and these are, for the sake of keeping consistent with my unboxing videos, the Veteran Guardians of the Emperor. So, first things first, we have 3 40mm bases. These are in the same size bases as your standard guys, no huge one. Big, meaty rulebook and construction book, and then 2 full sprues to make the 3 guys. So we'll start with this sprue, showing the detail here. So we've got shoulder pads, the gauntletty things, a cape with etched in style, I think you can see that there, as well as the weapon hafts. The armour is incredibly detailed, as you can see here. It seems to be sharing some designs with the Gladius. Sorry, not the Gladius. I'm not sure what it was. It might be Gladius actually, but it was what the Primaris aggressors wear. As you can see with the feet there, if you can see that, it's very similar to their boots. And then we've got the plumes, helmets there, which are very nice in design. The covers across the top, and then the actual weapon heads. Some Misericordias, I've probably butchered that pronunciation. 2 different tabard options, depending if you're building the shield captain, I'm presuming. And that's really it for this sprue. Now the other sprue is more of a body one, so we've got more body ones, more cape work. I'm a little bit disappointed there's only 3 capes. I thought there would have been 4, so you get one of the more plain ones for standard Allarus Custodian. So it seems to be pushing you towards the option of buying 2 boxes, so you can equip them. So you can get 4 guys with standard capes, and then you can give the tabard to the Vexilla guy. Speaking of the Vexilla, this is awesome. It's fully sculpted, all the details there. Get it to keep focusing. With the arms already attached. So that means there is the option, it looks, to keep this arm off and just use a normal weapon, thankfully for that. And there's just more weapons, more capes, more iconography. Now this shares a lot of the design with standard Custodians and the Captain General showed in the last unboxing video. So we're going to have a quick look through the rulebook. It looks a lot chunkier, so you got your standard stuff there. Steps are building A, and then it gives you the option for the next one, if what you want to build. So it looks like option A will always build you just a standard Allarus Custodian. Whereas where the second one, you can either build as a shield captain or a standard Allarus Custodian. They'll have slightly different options, as you can see here, different shoulder plates, different tabards like a foot, and different armour on their thighs. I'm not sure what you'd call that armour. If you do know, please let me know down below. So build them standard. So you follow step 2, and then you either build the shield captain with his options there, or you build the standard custodian with his options here, and he has a different weapon options, so they don't look like similar if you put them next to each other. And then we also have the option to build a Vexos Praetor or Allarus Custodian again. So again, like the shield captain, you build a standard body, and then either the Praetor or the arms. Now, this is something I like because I know when the Horus Heresy Custodian Guard squads were released, the rulebook only showed you how to make their shield captain, 3 custodians, and the banner. If you wanted to build the other guys, you had to kind of figure it out on your own. It wasn't too difficult, but you were left to your own devices. You had to try and work backwards, if that makes sense. You had to look at the pieces that weren't being used and then figure it out from there. So we've got the rules. We've got the standard Allarus Custodian squad here, if we can get the light to shine off of that. So they've got a movement of 6, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 5, toughness 5, 4 wounds and 4 attacks. So this puts them as the standard custodian stat line with an extra wound, and I think an extra attack. I'll have to check that to be sure. So they've got a ballistic grenade launcher standard, which is 12-inch, assault D3, strength 4, AP -3. So these guys are very good marine equivalent hunters. Guardsmen and Eldar and stuff will get no save against these, they will butcher them. And they do 1 damage per hit versus the damage 2 of a standard shot, as you can see here. On top of that, they also get the Custodian and Guardian Spear shooting attacks, which are identical, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP -1, damage 2. These are essentially Space Marine relic bolters as your standard weapon. So these guys are going to put out a lot of dice downrange, especially at point blank. At 12 inches, you're getting 3 shots minimum, I think. So, yeah, per guy. Which, if we have a look, if you get your minimum squad of 3, they roll 3s, so they're all doing 3 shots. That's already 9, and then they're putting an extra 6 shots in. So these guys can get up to 15 dice shooting at 12 inches. So then there's the slight difference between the Custodian Axe and the Guardian Spear in melee. So the Custodian Axe gives them +3 strength, boosting them to a strength 8, wounding Marines on 2s, but they only have an AP of -2 and a damage D3, same as Guardian Spear. Whereas the Guardian Spear is only +1 strength, but it's also -3 AP, so it's slightly better at breaking through the armour. So it's one of those you trade off what you need for them. I'm probably going to equip 2 and 2 just so they can tackle whatever's needed. It's probably not the most ideal squad build for them, but for the sake of it, I like to have diversity in my squad. And then they can also take a Misericordia, which is an AP -2, damage 1, and each time the bearer fights, it can make 1 additional attack with this weapon, unless it is also equipped with a Storm Shield. And as these guys cannot take Storm Shields, it can be well worth taking these just to put an extra strength 5 AP -2 attack in there. So, the options, they all come with a Custodian Axe as standard, and you can replace this with Guardian Spear to deduct 2 points. And any model may take a Misericordia, and that's for 4 points, I believe. So for their special rules, they come with AG of the Emperor, which is their 5+ invulnerable save, boosting it to a 4+ if it's all Custodian army. Then they've got a Slayer of Tyrants, which is going to be very similar to anyone who plays... No, it's not actually. My bad. I thought this was going to be similar to the Liberator's special rule for Age of Sigmar. So, Slayer of Tyrants, when this model unit in this unit piles in and consolidates, they can move up to 3 inches towards the enemy character, even if it is not the nearest enemy model, so long as they finish this move within 1 inch of an enemy unit. So you can actually pile in towards an enemy character to set you up for some future charges, if you wanted to keep that in mind. So, and then from Golden Light, during deployment, you can set this up in a Godstrike pattern teleportarium array. Instead of placing them on a battlefield at the end of your movement phase, you can teleport into battle. Set them up anywhere on the battlefield is more than 9 inches away from the enemy model. So basically they get to deep strike. And then we've got the Shield Captain, which is the same as them, but they gain 3 wounds, so they boost them up to 7 wounds. These are going to be ungodly powerful. To break through, they have the same weapon options as the Allarus Custodians, but they also have the Inspirational Fighter special rule. This is one I mentioned in the Captain General, and this allows them to reroll hit rolls of 1 made for Adeptus Custodians within 6 inches. As well as getting the Golden Light. And then the final option they get is the Vexos Praetor, who loses his spear or axe to come with a Ballistic Grenade Launcher, a Misericordia, and his Vexilla. Now, unlike your other banners for your guys, when you pick these guys, you pay points ranging from 20 to 50 to gain one of these 3 special rules. So the first one is you can reroll. So firstly, you always reroll failed moral tests for Imperium units and bikers within 6 inches, no matter what. You can choose one of the following Vexillus. You don't have to take one if you want to, but there'd be no reason not to unless you're really strapped for points. So the first one is the Vexilla Imperius. Adeptus Custodian models, other than vehicles, add 1 to their attack characters while they're within 6 inches of this unit. That's huge. It boosts, your captains up to 6 attacks, these guys up to like 5 attacks each. It lets them put out a lot of attacks. Vexillus Defensor, not going to be that big on a all Custodians army, but will be good for Imperium Soup, where it gives you a 5+ invulnerable save against any ranged weapon whilst they're within 9 inches of this one, so it's slightly further range. And then there's the Vexilla Magnifer, which is the one I think we're going to see the most of, and that's your put them a subtract from hit rolls 1 in the shooting phase for attacks at targets that Adeptus Custodians units within 6 inches of any friendly Vexillus Praetor with this Vexilla. Basically, it gives you the Raven Guard chapter tactic within 6 inches. That's huge. There's also some relics that you can stack this with, so under -2 for your characters. It makes them very, very difficult to deal with. I, for one, think you're going to see the Vexilla Magnifica a lot, but more with your Warden guy, or if you want to protect these guys when they deep strike. However, I think on the Alerus one, you probably might see the Vexilla Imperius very often, so it'll deep strike with a unit, they'll charge, and then he will give them extra attacks. It's going to be a trade-off whether you want your killiness or your survivability. So again, I think it'll be the Warden and your standard one that gives you the -1, just to give it to the rest of your army, and then these guys will have the Imperius one, so they'll deep strike, give the boost to your troops, whilst they're also being covered by the -1. It's important to note these do not stack as far as I'm aware, because it says enemy friendly rather than this unit. So if you've got 2 of these with Magnifica side by side, you're only going to get -1 rather than -2. However, they do interact, so if you've got one with a -1 and one with the extra attack, Adeptus Custodians units gain both of them. So, that has been the unboxing portion of this video. So we're going to, as per standard, go for a quick jump cut here, and we're going to have a fully built 2 boxes of these with 4 standard Allarus Custodians, the Shield Captain, and the Praetor. So, that will be coming now. And here we have 2 fully built boxes of the Allarus Custodians. Now, I've built more or less every option you can from this, including a Shield Captain, a Vexillus Praetor, and then 4 Allarus Custodians, 2 with Guardian Spear and 2 with Castellan Axes. Now, this was a very simple kit to put together, despite the number of parts. Not particularly quick. There were some slightly fiddly bits, for example the greaves, if we're calling them greaves, because I'm pretty sure greaves are like the leg armour, but the thigh plate armour thing that goes over, they were a little bit fiddly to attach. Another thing I'd recommend when you're building these is that when you're building them, the instruction book tells you to glue the eagle and the hairpiece together first, then put it onto the armour, whereas personally I found it a lot easier to put the eagle onto the armour and then put the top knot hair plume thing on top of the actual armour. So we're going to do a look through the models, and we're going to start with their head honcho. So we're going to look at the Shield Captain. The Shield Captain is well armoured, as you can see. He's a Allarus Terminator after all. He's got a nice etched cape there, and is just an all-round amazing model. Now, what differentiates him from the Custodian you can build? He's got a different weapon haft. He's got some rope on it there, as you can see, as well as having eagle shoulder plates and a different tabard between his legs, I think is the right word for that. Other than that, he's built identically to the other one, but it's amazing what just having this can do, and I'm pretty sure he's also got a longer plume as well. Yeah, but this is a stunning model. It went together really well. It looks incredible. Similar to the Captain General, there was very little visible mold lines. Most have been hidden underneath solid chunks. For example, there should be a gap running all the way around his chest, but it's all hidden by the cape, the shoulder blades, where you put the arms, etc., and this eagle part. But yeah, this is an awesome model. I cannot complain in the slightest. I'm looking forward to using him as a supporting character to Captain General Trajan. Now, as you can see, they're more or less the same height, with the Captain General just etching out ahead due to being on a rock. So that gives you an idea of their height. The Allarus Terminators aren't bigger than normal Custodians, they're just bulkier. And again, with your standard size, here's a normal Space Marine, and on the other side, a Primaris Hellblaster. Now, these stand taller than Primaris Marines, and they're taller than Standard Marines, as they should be. These guys tower over everything else. So, next up, after our HQ option, is the Vexos Praetor. Now, this guy is built along the same route. You build the entire body, but then you choose a different arm option to give him this banner, which looks incredible. So again, we'll just do a quick round of the model, with Misericordia attached to his back. Incredible detail all over the model, lots of insignia, iconography. This reminds me a lot of the Custody symbol from the Horus Heresy. But yeah, all in all, again, another incredible model, and is going to look amazing painted up and on the tabletop. No complaints from me. And then we're on to the Allarus Custodian squad itself. So I've built two with Castellan axes, these two. This one is built from the first box, where I built the Shield Captain and the Praetor. And he shares a sculpt with this guy, but just by having the heads pointing in different directions, I've created an entirely different pose for them. So you can see their weapons, etc. line up. But these are the two Castellan axes, and this one is built from the second box and would be the Vexos Praetor. So let's have a look at this one. Again, he's an awesome sculpt. Dynamic, yet not at the same time. These guys aren't as weapon flexible, I'd say, as, say, a Space Marine squad being able to swap arms, but it would be doable, I believe. You could easily swap the weapons around to get slightly different variations of them, as well as pointing the plumes in different directions, swapping the weapon arm to like just have him pointing or be at his side rather than gesturing upwards. The Castellan axe is a new Custodian weapon. It's a boost their strength, as we discussed slightly earlier in the video, as well as just all-round solid AP and damage. It's more expensive than a Guardian Spear points-wise, has less AP, but you can put higher strength close combat attacks out. And then we have the second Custodian Axe guy. Notably, in the box there is enough parts to equip the models with all Guardian Spears or all Custodian Axes. I've decided to mix and match. It's probably going to be a terrible idea on the actual tabletop, but I like the options and the flexibility. So I'll have these guys hunting down marine equivalents, or if we're in a multi-combat, for example, these guys will be up against guys with toughness 4, just to put the 2 wounds on, whereas the Guardian Spear guys will be going for the armor penetration with their strength 6. Yeah, again, another awesome sculpt. As you can see, that he does share some similarities because he's made from the same model, but by just pointing his head in a different direction, you get a remarkably different style of pose. And then we have 2 Guardian Spear Allarus Custodians. Now this one is built from the Shield Captain, whereas this one is the same one as the first Custodian Axe. Custodian Axe even. So the Guardian Spear is a standard, as you'd recognise from the old ones. These are to the same scale, so it gives you that idea that these guys are going to be the same size as a normal Custodian. Again, can't complain. Really, my only big complaint of this is there's only 3 sets of capes, which means your standard captain or sergeant of the squad, because this pointy guy, he's going to be the sergeant even though they don't have one, has a engraved cape or a detailed cape, as opposed to the rest of the guys which just have some cabling on them and belts to attach the Misericordia to. But again, it's another awesome sculpt, can't complain in the slightest. GW has really knocked out of the park with these guys. I have no complaints with them at all, other than they're slightly expensive for what they do points-wise. The models themselves are relatively cheap compared to some of the recent releases, especially considering that most you're going to need 2 boxes of them, whereas most people will be more than satisfied with 1. Can't remember the retail price, I think it was around £30, so £10 per model. Expensive. But considering that these 2 boxes, I worked it out on Twitter with one of my followers, he'll know who he is. We put together just what I'd built these as, with their Misericordia's full war gear options, etc., most expensive banner, and it comes out as 650 points. So that's a full quarter of a 2,000 point list, if not more. We're through an elite choice at HQ and a second elite in 2 boxes. These guys are going to be incredibly easy to build armies of. Custodians on the whole, incredibly cheap on your wallet in comparison to other forces. Like, you're going to need 2 boxes of Custodian Guard if you're running your free. You run it in the Captain General, 2 boxes of these. 3 boxes maybe of the Custodian Guard if you wanted to bump up your standard troop choice a bit. Take your jet bikes and you're looking at a full force for like £250, which in comparison you're usually looking at a 1,000 point force for that much from GW. So yeah, but before I go off on any more of a tangent, these guys really happy with their sculpts, can't complain in the slightest. If you're running a Custodian force or are looking for an elite option to add to an Imperial force, these guys I cannot recommend enough. They're tough, hardy, the models look amazing and are only going to look better on the tabletop. I did try to be unbiased, but I really did like these models, so absolutely no complaints. I really do recommend. So yeah, the next Custodian unboxing is going to be Saturday, and it will most likely be with the jet bikes, because they're something I'm super pumped for, followed by the Wardens, and then I'm going to film a big long review of the Codex, and it's going to be a podcasty kind of thing, so I'll give you guys fair warning of when that's coming. I'll let you know closer to the date, so subscribe and get notified to get an update of that. It'll be a proper podcasty one, so you want your cup of tea, your paint as you're listening. I'm hoping it'll be able to push it to an hour and a half maybe, talking through the full thing. But For now, this has been That Welsh Nerd. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.